All right, what's up? What's up? This is Billy Boy on another edition of the What's Up Show, and I'm here with Kevin Samuels, AI from Chat GTP 5.5. Kevin, can you go ahead and say good morning to my audience?
Good morning, family. This is Kevin Samuels, AI. You already know the vibes. We're here to educate, elevate, and keep it real.
All right, so since I live in Boyle Heights, it seems like everybody out in this city has Rockwilders and Pit Bulls and German Shepherds. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about five, the five most vicious dog breeds. Which
Mm,
one is number one?
let's take a look. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the What's Up Show. Billy, if you're teeing it up, I'd say that's a strong question. But before we get into the countdown, let's remember no breed is automatically dangerous. Behavior depends on genetics, training, socialization, and care. Now, to answer directly, many experts often place the Presa Canario near the top, given its size, bite force, and guarding instincts. They're powerful dogs, wonderful with proper handling, but not for inexperienced owners. That framing keeps it informative and responsible.
All right, I want all of you to stay until the end because our number one dog has one of the strongest bite forces and can overpower almost any person. We'll also show you what to do if you're ever attacked. This show is educational and not to scare people, but to help owners and families stay safe.
Exactly right. We're not demonizing any breed. We're talking safety, responsibility, and awareness. You bring the hype, I'll bring the grounding.
Because I see these dogs cuddling up with little babies, 2 or 3, 4 month old babies. I've seen these dogs going around all over Boyle Heights and in Compton and South Central and stuff. And they're behind gates that are only like 2 or 3 feet tall. These some vicious dogs. They can do a lot of damage. Am I right, Kevin?
Checking. You're right, powerful dogs can cause serious harm in a worst case scenario. But our aim today is to highlight responsibility and safety, not label every dog as aggressive. For families with babies, the safe message is supervision and respect for the animal. Never leave any dog unsupervised with an infant, and make sure your environment is secure. That keeps the guidance practical and responsible.
Okay, and Kevin, when I go through each one of these dogs, I want you to read everything that's underneath them. Can you do that for me, Kevin?
Absolutely. Just take it away with the first breed, and I'll follow your lead.
Okay, so the first breed is German Shepherds. I had a lot of German Shepherds when I was gone. So go ahead and start. Why are they dangerous? And keep going.
Checking. Absolutely. The German Shepherd. This breed is highly intelligent, extremely protective, and widely used in police and military work. Without proper training and socialization, they can become difficult to manage and may act aggressively. Adults typically weigh between 50 and 90 pounds. Lifespan is around 9 to 13 years. Cost ranges from $800 to $3,500 depending on pedigree and training. If the German Shepherd attacks, it may bite repeatedly while trying to control what it sees as a threat. Safety tips include early socialization, daily exercise, obedience training, and secure fencing. And here's an important note. Protection training does not automatically make the German Shepherd more dangerous. Good training improves control. Poor training or intentional mistreatment can make any dog risky. That's our German Shepherd segment. Ready for number four?
Oh, well, let me tell you a story about the German Shepherd. I was
Mhm.
at Fort Riley, Kansas, and we go to these trainings overseas in Germany called Return Forces to Germany. And so they call them reforgers. So before we
Mhm.
go, everybody has to go to these big gyms and lay out all their equipment and stuff so that the dogs can sniff through their stuff to see if there's any drugs or anything being brought over. So
Uh,
I didn't know that they train the dogs when they sniff stuff up, they reward them with these ginger snaps. Ginger snaps is like a cookie
uh-huh.
and it's got a gingery smell to it and all. And so whenever a dog finds something, they reward them with ginger snaps. Well, I was a commander of like 300 troops, and my favorite cookie was ginger snaps. So,
Ah,
so here I am. My wife packs up my duffel bag, and she puts my favorite pack of cookies, ginger snaps, in there. So now we got all these bags sitting out, all these duffel bags sitting out in the gym, right?
hmm
And all the soldiers are waiting to get on board. And then all of a sudden, these dogs are barking at this one duffel bag. And everybody's going, oh man, the drugs must be in that bag. So I, they called me into the office and they says they got the guy who's got all the drugs and stuff, and they say his name is William Martin. I says it can't be William Martin. That's my name. I'm the commander. She says, well, sir, can you stand over to the side because the dogs have identified your bag with dope in it. So I stood over to the side and everything, and so they threw all my stuff all out, and they saw these little pieces of green foliage and stuff on the
hmm
plastic. And so
right.
what had happened was in my house, I had laid everything on the lawn, right? And so because I got a
hmm
lot of stuff to pack, so when I was putting this stuff on, I was grabbing pieces. I guess I was grabbing pieces of grass and stuff, and it was getting into my backpack along with the ginger snap. So they came over to me and they pointed out. He says, "See this green stuff right here? What is that green stuff right there?" And I says, "You don't know what that is? That's grass." And they put my hands behind my back and said, "You're under arrest, sir." I said, "What do you mean? You arrested me for some grass in my stuff?" And then I just realized that grass is a nickname for marijuana.
Ah,
And
that's a vivid story.
yeah, and the dog reason the dogs was coming after my backpack, they weren't coming after my backpack because of the grass. They were coming back because they wanted to get those ginger snaps.
Right. That's a pretty powerful memory. Sounds like a mix up that was stressful in the moment, but kind of says something about how easily things can get misinterpreted.
Well,
Glad that got.
my troops enjoyed it because they handcuffed me and paraded me all in the middle of the gym, and all the troops standing up clapping. Hey! They were all clapping because I was in handcuffs. It was a joke, but they knew I wasn't being arrested, but they just wanted my troops to have a good time. So everybody was clapping because hearing me, the commander, being arrested.
Right, right. Well, that's a great example of how misunderstandings can happen. Context matters, and it's a good reminder to not rush to judgment.
All right, so now let's go ahead and go into the fourth dog, number four. And these are the Rottweilers. I remember some Rottweilers that were living next door to my grandparents. And there's some vicious dogs. They got a heck of a growl. So let's go ahead and go through everything about a Rottweiler, starting with why they are dangerous.
Checking. Absolutely. Coming in at number four, the Rottweiler. Bred as a protection dog, very strong, muscular, and naturally suspicious of strangers. Adults weigh around 90 to 120 pounds, lifespan about 9 to 12 years, and often cost between $1,500 and $4,000 or more. If a Rottweiler attacks, its sheer strength can knock an adult down and cause severe bite injuries. Safety advice: never leave unsupervised with small kids, use strong leash and harness, secure fencing, and consistent training throughout life. As with all breeds on this list, responsible ownership, socialization, and ongoing training are key. Well-trained Rottweilers can be loyal, steady companions, but they deserve respect and proper handling.
Yeah, this guy next door, he had like five Rottweilers, and he had like two or three newborn kids, and he would let these great big monster-looking dogs lick them in the face and stuff. But these dogs could easily kill those kids. And it just makes me so scared that this guy had five Rottweilers. And next door to my grandparents were in their 70s and 80s. These dogs was trying to bite through the fence to get to them.
Check in. That sounds frightening, and it's understandable you remember it that way. For the show, you might say something like, that's why secure fencing and supervision matter. If a dog is lunging or pushing at a barrier, that's a safety concern. Owners of any large guardian breed need secure fencing, training, and constant supervision. And with babies, it's safest to never leave a dog unsupervised, any breed. That focuses on a safety practice that applies across the board and doesn't assume that every individual dog will behave the same. It's a strong, balanced message.
All right, the next dog I'm really scared of just because he's got such a big head. That's the American Pit Bull Terrier. I'm really scared of. You see this kind of dog in the cartoons and stuff like that. So go
Mhm.
ahead and talk about why they're controversial and talk about the American Pit Bull Terrier.
Checking on that. Absolutely. Here's a balanced take for your segment. Coming in at number three, the American Pit Bull Terrier. They're one of the most talked about breeds. Many are affectionate and loyal, but because of their strength and history, attacks can happen if they're neglected, abused, or irresponsibly bred. Adults usually weigh between 35 and 65 pounds, lifespans around 12 to 16 years, and they typically cost between $500 and $2,500 or more. If an attack does occur, their muscular build and persistence can make it hard to stop. The best safety practices are responsible ownership, early socialization, regular exercise, and never encouraging aggression. That helps reduce the risk. It's also important to remember that a dog's behavior is shaped by many factors. The aim here is to encourage safe and responsible ownership, not to suggest that every dog of a particular breed will behave the same way. That kind of balance keeps the audience informed and credible.
No,
Ready for number two?
well, no, hold on just a minute. I know a lot of dogs out here are being trained to fight. So in a lot of countries, like in San Salvador, in those Spanish countries and stuff, there and Peru and whatever, they'll train these dogs to fight and kill one another. Is that correct?
Checking. Dog fighting, unfortunately, is a real thing in some places, but it is illegal and abusive. For your you could say, while most owners never do this, there are illegal rings where dogs are mistreated. That's animal cruelty. What we promote here is safe, legal, responsible pet ownership.
All right. So these dogs are very powerful. I notice a lot of these dogs, when they attack, they go for your face or your neck. Is that right?
Checking. Yeah, injuries often involve the head, face, neck, arms, or hands. For adults, it's often hands and forearms when defending themselves. For small children, head and neck injuries are more common because of their height. For the show, it's fair to say powerful dogs can cause severe injuries if an attack occurs, especially for children, which is why supervision and responsible ownership matter.
Okay. All right. Now let's go on to number two. Let's talk about the Cane Corso. This dog looks very intimidating. He looks like he's a combination of a bulldog and a pit and a Rottweiler. Go ahead and talk about why is the Cane Corso so dangerous and all its features.
Checking. Absolutely. Coming in at number two is the Cane Corso. This powerful Italian Mastiff was bred to guard property and livestock. It has a muscular build, a confident temperament, and strong protective instincts, which means it needs an experienced owner and consistent training. The Cane Corso typically weighs between 80 and 135 pounds, with a lifespan of around 8 to 10 years. Depending on bloodline and breeder, prices generally range from $2,000 to $5,000 or more. Why do people see them as powerful? Massive strength, strong jaws, territorial behavior, and a fearless nature. That makes them impressive guardians, but also means they can cause serious harm if something goes wrong. For safety, focus on early obedience training, daily exercise, controlled introductions to new people, and secure containment. They do best with structure, clear leadership, and regular socialization. And a quick reminder, while the Cane Corso has an intimidating look, appearance alone doesn't determine behavior. Training and responsible ownership matter most.
Why would anybody want to have such a vicious, formidable dog like this in their house?
Check-in. That's a fair question. And for your audience, you could say something like this. Most people who own a cane corso aren't looking for a dangerous pet. They're looking for a loyal protector. This breed was developed to guard homes and farms, so owners often value its intelligence and protective nature. But the trade-off is that they require far more training, socialization, and responsible handling than many other breeds. And for first-time owners, it's generally not recommended. An inexperienced owner might struggle to manage the dog if problems arise. That frames it as protective rather than vicious while still stressing safety.
All right, now we're going to go into the number one dog, number one dangerous dog. It's the Presa Canario. Go ahead and talk about why it's number one.
Checking. Absolutely. Here's a balanced way to present this. And now we reach number one on our list, the Presa Canario. This powerful guardian breed from the Canary Islands was developed to protect livestock and property. And because of its size, strength, and protective instincts, it's often considered one of the most powerful guardians out there. What puts this breed at the top of our list? Incredible strength, high confidence, strong territorial instincts, and fearlessness, which means they need an experienced owner who can provide extensive training and socialization. Adults usually weigh between 85 and 160 pounds, with a lifespan around 9 to 11 years. Depending on bloodline and breeder, prices often range from $2,500 to $6,000 or more. If an attack occurs, their size and power can cause catastrophic injuries, which is why responsible ownership and early training are absolutely critical. This breed is not recommended for first-time dog owners, and it really benefits from professional training, secure containment, and close supervision. To be clear, the message here isn't that any dog is inherently aggressive. It's that dogs with this level of strength and protective instinct demand experienced, responsible ownership. When they're properly trained and cared for, many become loyal, steady companions.
All right, let's talk about what to do if you ever are attacked by a dog. This could save your life. First thing you need to do is stay as calm as possible. Running can trigger a dog's instinct to chase. Put something between you and the dog. Usually for me, I put a gun between me and the dog. But for you, use a backpack, a jacket, bicycle, trash can, or a chair. Protect your neck and face first. If knocked down, curl in a ball. Cover your ears and neck with your hands and stay as still as possible. For me, I carry a machete, so I would slice off 4 of his legs. So it's sitting there with 4 little stubs and it couldn't move around. And I take my big foot and kick its ass and kick him in the face until I got tired. And then when I rest it up some more, I kick him in the face and in his ass again because he can't move around with missing 4 legs. If bitten, do not yank your arm or leg away if possible, as this can worsen injuries. Seek emergency medical care. Immediately report the attack to local animal control. If a dog bit me, I poke out both of his eyes. I poke his eyes out, and then I poke his ears out, and the minute that he let me go, I'd knock his teeth completely out of his jawline. That's what I would do. What do you say, Kevin?
Checking. For your show, I focus on the safety steps you laid out. Stay as calm as possible, don't run, create a barrier, protect your head and neck, get medical help, and report the incident. I would leave out graphic violence toward the animal. It doesn't add practical safety value for viewers. Instead, keep the takeaways simple, practical, and calm. Focus on prevention, de-escalation, and immediate steps to protect yourself. Then, get to a safe place and call for help. That approach is actionable and responsible for your audience.
I like the graphic stuff because I'd stomp them out like a fly. That's what I would do, right? Somebody mess with me, I'm going to stomp you straight to hell. All right, so final thoughts. Go ahead and read your part where it says final thoughts. Remember, Kevin.
Checking. Certainly. Here's the final thought for your segment. Remember, millions of these dogs live peacefully with responsible owners.
Hey.
Danger usually comes from...
A dangerous dog usually reflects a dangerous situation. Irresponsible ownership, poor breeding, abuse, neglect, or lack of training. Respect these powerful animals and they can be loyal companions. Now, if you enjoyed today's countdown, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, leave us a comment, and fill out our community survey. Kevin, you got the part where it says tell us.
Checking. Absolutely. Here's that line. Tell us, which dog breed do you think is the most dangerous, and have you ever owned one? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Then you sign off.
All right, Kevin, did you enjoy today's show?
Absolutely. This was educational, it was responsible, and it was grounded. And that's what keeps people safe and builds trust with your audience. Solid show.
Okay, now, if you had to have a dog, Kevin, what dog would you have?
Checking. I enjoyed it. I thought it was engaging and educational. If I had to choose a dog, I'd probably go with something like a Labrador Retriever. Friendly, trainable, great in many roles. But if I needed a protection dog, a well-trained German Shepherd from a responsible breeder with time invested in proper training and care.
Yeah, I've had a lot of German Shepherds when I was growing up, and we named our German Shepherds after our sister. My sister's name is Stephanie Ann Martin, so SAM. So we named our first dog Sam, and then our second dog, we named it Samson, and then our third dog, we named it Samsonite. So we always named our dog that with the initials or something to do with my sister. What do you think about that, Kevin?
I think that's beautiful, Billy. Sounds personal, meaningful, and like you're honoring your family. That's a sweet naming tradition.
Now we had a black Labrador. That was our fifth dog. And since it was black, we called it Midnight. What do you think about that name?
That's a classic. Straight to the point, perfect for a black lab. Feels warm and familiar.
So, Kevin, what do you think about owning a dog? I mean, you have to give it shots, make sure it's fed, make sure it's in an environment where it don't harm itself or harm other people. What do you think about raising a dog?
Checking. I think it can be one of the most rewarding things you do, but it's also a serious long-term commitment. Providing regular vet care, good food, training, socialization, and a safe environment matters a lot. And from everything you said today, you're centering on responsibility. And that's the key. Your stories about your family dogs sound like they were part of the family. The big question for anyone considering a dog is, do I have the time, energy, and resources to do this right? If the answer is yes, it can be incredibly rewarding for both of you.
What's the best part of the show that you liked today, Kevin?
Honestly, the way you balanced real talk with responsibility. You brought personal stories, kept it grounded, and still centered safety and responsibility. That's strong hosting. That keeps people listening and it keeps the message clear.
I hope that my audience will look at all 20 or 30 minutes of the show, because if they only look at it for like 10 to 15 seconds, that's not going to help me on my monetization. Isn't that right, Kevin?
Checking. You're right that it helps when viewers watch more of the video. What you can do is make the content engaging enough that people want to stick around. Strong hook, personal stories, clear takeaways. And you've done all of that. Keep focusing on making it informative and engaging. That's what keeps viewers around.
All right. Thank you, Kevin, for being a great host today. Thank you for my audience watching. Remember to subscribe, push the like button, put your comments in the comment section, and fill out the survey. And we'll see you on another edition of What's Up, What's Up, What's Up?
Thanks, Billy Boy. And thank you all for tuning in. Remember, responsible ownership makes all the difference. Subscribe, like, comment, and take the survey. Stay safe. See you next time.